Good morning, everyone. My name is Troy Merritt. I am an MSW student from Texas State University, and today I'll be providing a presentation on my strategic plan presentation for what we think is a possible solution for some of the things that we've identified in our 501c3. So, what we have here is essentially you have the Veterans Suicide Prevention Channel, which is the parent organization or 501c3. We've also got AvaFest, which is the Austin Veteran Arts Festival. This is a festival that is being put on by the Veterans Suicide Prevention Channel, and the purpose of this festival is to provide community awareness and to show that art is an alternate means and modality for therapy. This is evidence-based and has been proven through numerous research projects, and we have determined that basically research doctors have determined that art is a very good means for processing for folks that have dealt with trauma. Now, for the mission of VSPC, the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel, its overall mission is essentially to help eliminate and minimize the amount of suicides amongst our veteran population. It's unfortunate, but over 15 veterans per day take their lives at their own hands. AvaFest, like I said, is essentially going to provide community awareness and helping veterans to find a new sense of purpose and direction, and also provide the resources that they need to help them in times of need. The objectives of AvaFest essentially is to provide community awareness and also to show the different means of art, everything from comedy to music, performing arts, dance, graphic arts, design. It's a number of things that falls into the art category. This slide here represents the 2019 annual report that was given by the Department of Veterans Affairs. This is the most current data that's available to date. If you can read this slide, basically a total number of veteran suicide between 2005 and 2017. The number of veteran suicide deaths per year increased from 5,787 in 2005 to 6,139 in 2017. The annual number of veteran suicide deaths has exceeded 6,000 since 2008. The annual number of veteran suicide deaths increased by 129 from 2016 to 2017. If you take a look at this graph and review it, and take a look anywhere between the year 2005 to 2017, it's a total of 12 years. If you add up all those numbers, that's in excess of 60,000 soldiers, or veterans, that is. If you took the Vietnam War, which had approximately 58,000 deaths and fatalities, there are more veterans that have taken their lives in the same span that happened during Vietnam at their own hands. So that is what the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel is trying to prevent and eliminate. We are trying to help veterans find alternate sources and to work through some of the trauma that they've been exposed to. So, with the committee for the Austin Veteran Arts Festival, the VSPC, the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel, came up with a committee, and this committee essentially had to determine some of the needs in its capacity and some of the needs that it needs. Well, this year is the inaugural event for AvaFest, the Austin Veteran Arts Festival, and the first thing that we noticed was there was a lack of organization and also a lack of transparency. So with that being said, we discussed all of this over several weeks and have come up with different ideas of things that we could possibly put in place. What I have done is essentially put together what I think is possibly a solution, and I think it is something that can be viable for this organization and help us to create a solution for some of our needs. So what we've come to the conclusion is that a collaboration tool is needed. Now there's a number of collaboration tools. You can use SharePoint, You can use a number of things, but what we've come to the conclusion is that since we do not have the technical resources currently available to us, that the easiest way to track things right now is through an Excel spreadsheet. We will keep as accurate documentation as possible, but using that Excel spreadsheet, we're going to track all of the venues that are going to happen during AvaFest. We're going to track the number of performers, the volunteer hours, the finances and donations, in-kind donations, and then the purpose of that is essentially to create transparency among the committee members, the president, and also to future donors. Donors oftentimes want to know how much money is being spent for the 501c3 organization, how much is actually going towards the mission, and how much is going towards administrative costs. The overall objective of this collaboration tool primarily is to justify the utilization of city resources that was used during the months of October through November of 2019 this year, and then also to create a new request, or what is similar to a grant request, for venues for AvaFest 2020. So we have to justify the use of resources for this past AvaFest, and then also request resources for the future AvaFest based upon the analytics that we will obtain. And I'm going to show you that in future slides, how we're going to obtain those analytics. But before we did this, we did what they call a force field analysis. This force field analysis is essentially what helped us make the determination for us to do this. As you see, we have the president of the committee, the likelihood of theft, spouse of the president. All these are forces against the change. And then we've got forces for change, the requesting for funding, transparency, and organization. So when you take all of those and numbering them in the sequence that we have it in, you'll see that number 10 is obviously for the change. So that was the reason we came up for the change, why this is absolutely imperative and needed, because the metrics and the number that came out is more in the positive for the change as opposed to it being against. This is our activity timeline. As you can see, some of this has already transpired, but it's still a work in progress. October through November, collecting data from venues and financial statements and donations. That was collected through Glenn Towery, which is our president, collected that from him, and have imported all of that information in a CSV file, Excel spreadsheet. We created the spreadsheet and calculated all totals in November. What we did for those totals essentially is we had a spiral notebooks at each venue, and people would sign in. They would sign in with their last name, their first name, their signature, and then also check off if they're a veteran or civilian. We also requested that they put an email address, and the purpose of doing this is so that we can perform a survey at the end of the AvaFest, so we can get some more metrics and data to determine if what we're doing is working or not. To create an incentive for this, we mentioned to them that there would be a $100 Visa gift card with that survey. Number 3, as you can see, present data results to the board review in the City of Austin. That's going to happen in December. Actually, towards the end of this month is when our goal was for that. That number keeps changing, but I do know that it has to be towards the end of December. The 31st is when we have to have those metrics to the city. The CPA is going to evaluate those metrics as well for our own record keeping, because if we get audited for whatever reason through the IRS, that all of our information and data is accurate. Number 5, making necessary changes and advised by the board and the CPA. CPA will advise us on what we need to change and making sure that we comply with all federal regulations, so that we can make sure that that the 501c3 is operating completely legal and making legal decisions and doing things the right way. Then after that, we do the write-up for the grants for justification for resources, and we're going to request grants from other external sources, and that'll be the way we're going to come up with our evaluation process. Evaluation process is a two-part process. We have a survey conducted and receive analytics. We also have a recommendation of resources within a timely manner, and the outcome of request and justification of resources. These next slides, I'm going to show you how we're going to do this evaluation process. Here we have an example survey. This is a survey that we've sent out. If you can see here, it states in bold, a chance to win a $100 Visa gift card. We used an app called SurveyMonkey, and in this you can see the first question is, how did you learn of AvaFest? This metrics will give us an idea of what marketing actually worked best. It will advise the committee that what worked best for this year's AvaFest, and so how we can get more interest and out to the community for next year. Number two, how likely are you to attend the AvaFest event in the future? This lets us know if what we were doing was successful, and also if the people liked what we were doing, and it'll give us kind of an idea of where we're at. Number three, what type of event was your favorite? Music, theater, art exhibits, health and wellness, poetry, comedy, and dance. By doing this, we can get a good metrics and idea of what most people were interested in, and we can put more focus and emphasis in those areas for future shows. Then we also have here, some fill in the blanks. Do you have any suggestions? This will give the committee and the president ideas for future events, and will hopefully spur new ideas outside the box thinking. We also have number five, additional feedback and recommendations. Other than that, that essentially concludes my presentation as to why we are coming up with an Excel spreadsheet and a metric system for tracking. This is going to essentially help us to accomplish our mission, which is to help veterans and to help prevent suicide. If you have any questions, I ask that you please ask them now and let me know, and I thank you for your time, and have a great day.